I had gone out. I was separated from my husband, still living in the same house, and I'd taken myself out for an evening to meet a friend of my mum's, actually, and we decided to go to the 007 bar in the Hilton Hotel in London. And my mother's friend, as you can imagine, there's no mobile phones. She couldn't phone me. She was late. And I thought, well, she's not going to come. So I'd been sitting at a little table in the 007 bar. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm getting fed up with this. I'll go and sit up at the bar and order a drink, which I did. The next thing I knew, I felt a presence beside me on my right. When I looked up, I nearly fell off the bar stool. Mm-hmm. This very good-looking guy, standing very suntanned, mm-hmm. very deep-pursing, dark eyes, with this light green-coloured suit with a pink frilly shirt.
My God.
That's what got me.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean.
Now, just for the benefit of potential readers of the book, the Argentine is literally, the focal point's probably the wrong word, but literally everything happened around this man, all the trouble you got into later, hence why the book's called The Argentine Affair. Now, is it fair to say that you were swept off your feet with this guy? It was love at first sight?
No, it wasn't love.
Okay, tell me.
Not love.
Lust.
Lust, a big physical attraction. Any woman who saw him, and I found this out afterwards as well, any woman who saw that guy, because he was about, not as tall as you can, about 6'2", mm-hmm. Very well, you know, you could see he had a good figure, mm-hmm. you know, with his suit, and being so very handsome. I mean, you think George Clooney's handsome, mm-hmm. but this guy to me was just over it, or Richard Gere or anybody like this. This guy really had it and everything. He was clean shaven, very, very suntanned and everything. And he had a way with him. His English was a bit broken. It wasn't very good English. And
Which made him even sexier, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Now, what did you do when
I didn't know he was Argentine at the time.
And what did you do when because you told me a story when we wrote that chapter of the book. Tell me what you did.
Well,
to shock him a little bit.
He started chatting to me, asked me, you know, would I like a drink and everything. And we just started a conversation very nicely. And then he asked me, he said, would you like to come down for dinner with me? I'm going to Trader Vic's, which is a very good restaurant in the Hilton. And I thought, yeah, I'd never eaten in Trader Vic's, had a lot about it. And I thought, well, why not? When we left the bar to go down, we were going down some steps. Trader Vic's was downstairs in the hotel, in the lower down floor. And as we're walking down, my hand grabbed, there was nobody around, my hand grabbed out and I caught him in the crotch. Mm-hmm. This is not a word, it's on my daughter's life. Mm-hmm. Not a word of a lie. And he looked very, very surprised, but then he put a big grin on his face. He said, what did you do that? I said, well, I didn't want to waste my time tonight.
Fantastic, yeah? Fantastic.
It really is true.
And
he had all of it there.
Yeah, excellent. And now that was that the 60s, Sandra? Would that be the 60s?
Yeah.
So
the 60s.
The beginning, I think, of what they do say was like the sexual revolution and all that sort of thing.
Remember, I was already married. Mm-hmm. Joanne was 4 years old, mm-hmm. and I hadn't been in the swinging 60s because I'd got married when I was 21, mm-hmm. and then I'd lost a baby. I'd had all the trauma of being in hospital, very ill, mm-hmm. lost a baby, and then adopting Joanne. So I hadn't been with most people, you know. I'd been to Carnaby Street, but I hadn't been in that 60s
that era,
free you know, mm-hmm. sexual relationships or anything like mm-hmm. a lot of mm-hmm. young women were. Mm-hmm. But there I was free because I decided to divorce my husband coming back from America, mm-hmm. and I felt free and liberated. And in those days, London, it wasn't dangerous like it is today. A young woman, you could go out with your car, you could park anywhere. you know, in the hotel, you just put your car in, you could go out, sit in a bar and everything. You weren't harassed or accosted, and you knew nobody was going to club you over the head to try and get your handbag or anything. It didn't happen in those days.
Okay.
It just didn't happen. And then you could meet somebody like I did with him.
So that was the first time you met him. Okay, right. Little pause. Right, Sandra. So we've heard about obviously the first time that you met the Argentine, and me with the benefit of knowledge and helping you write your book. I know for a fact that that night ended in a night of passion.
Very much so. Very much so, because we went down and had a fabulous meal. He asked me to dance, and everybody in the restaurant stopped looking when he danced, because he was South American. He just knew how to dance, and I was a good dancer. So for me, that was the epitome of the perfect man, good looking with everything, knowing that if I went with him, I'd have very good sex with him, that was for sure. I just knew it. We'd hit it off. Anyway, we went back to, he drove his car, I think he had the Opel at the time, and I drove after him, and we went to Putney, where he was renting a couple of rooms from some Polish people. And then he told me that we'd gone through the kitchen, the people weren't there, and there were 2 Doberman puppies that were his. And the people were looking up, and I said, you haven't even got a proper home yet, but you've got 2 Doberman. No, I love Dobermans, and I've got them when I buy a house, that's where they're coming and everything. And then we went up to his little flat. Well, it was extraordinary sex. I mean, you know, I hadn't had proper relations with my husband for years. I'd come back from America, which was a little bit of a disaster, you know, with my mum's cousin and that. And with him, that was it. But I knew I had to get home, and I left. It must have been about 5 in the morning. How I got home, I don't know, you know. And we'd agreed the next day that I'd take Joanne to meet him, you know, which I did do then the next day. And it was on the 4th day, and I was having very, very passionate affair with him. It really was. And then it was on the 4th day, he said he wanted to meet my family.
Yeah, almost immediately, you know, you wanted your daughter Joanne to meet the guy. He wanted to meet your family. You were fairly much inseparable from that point on, wasn't you? And you dived into the relationship. Now this has been
without thinking.
This has been you right through the book,
Yeah.
as your readers will find out. And you dived into that relationship because you just felt it was right.
It was. I could feel that it was going to be an adventure. He was very, to me, exotic. You know, this was away from English guys. This was somebody, he'd come from Spain, he was from Argentine. The whole aura of him was adventure. Not so much, I knew there must be money there, you know, but I wasn't interested in that. It was his personage.
And there was a mystery about the guy, obviously.
Big mystery about him and everything. So there was this aura of adventure, and I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, I want to be part of it. I didn't want to let him go.
And again, that's the theme, that really is the theme of the book and indeed your life. It's a nice expression, in for a penny, in for a pound. Everything you've kind of done is that you've dived in with both feet, so to speak. And I think we've mentioned
stupidly, but
we mentioned in the book at one point the Gwyneth Paltrow movie Sliding Doors, where, you know, you had so many of those episodes where there was a sliding door and it was a case of should I go through it or not. And every time you went through it.
Yeah.
The house at Surbiton, Guillermo came in one day and made a very unusual request of you. Tell us what it was.
he was a heavy drinker, very heavy drinker. And one day he said, he just came out with it, he said, Sandra, I think I need you to contribute a little bit to the home. He said, I want you to do something that you'll either say yes or you say no. I can understand it, but he said, it'll show me that you really love me. It was twisted in so many words to make me feel that if I didn't, I could have a problem. Remember, I'd already before that met and gone and done work for him because he was too drunk to do it with these horrible people in Notting Hill. So I knew he knew some really not very nice characters. I mean, they really were not nice. So I was a little bit afraid. And also I'd had the episode of him where he'd had a gun. And he had my passport and Joanne's. And I was a bit afraid that if I didn't do what he wanted me to do,
there'd be repercussions.
And then there was the other side of me that thought, well, okay, this is a bit adventurous. I wonder if I can pull it off. There's that side of me as well.
Pull what off? Tell us.
To go out and pull men, just by walking around, not doing, you know, not meeting anybody nice, but just seeing
for money.
For money, yeah. It's a bit of an without thinking in my head the dangers of it. I didn't think that way because I felt so confident in myself that I could handle any situation. So it's a lot of bravado. The word would be a lot of bravado.
So even that, the character that comes out about you in the book, even that is like, despicable as it sounds to probably most people reading your book, that the man that you loved and purportedly loved you wanted you to go out and become a prostitute. However, part of you thought, well, that'll be a good adventure.
Not only a good adventure, but sort of to show him that I was a strong woman and I could do anything as well. I never ever thought of consequences. That was my stupidity. But I was young. I was 29. And I just wondered how it would be. It was a very strange, I can remember getting dressed up for it. I was scared in one way, but in another way, so curious to see what could happen. And I can remember I'd gone up, it was early evening, it was still a bit light, and I'd parked the car near the Cumberland Hotel, and I was walking down the street and people were shopping still, it was still early-ish evening, and some guy ran up to me and asked me who I was, and I didn't give my name, I just said, you know, I'm out for a walk and that, and he said, well, here's my card, I'm a film producer, you know, because I looked the part.